The Kenyan nation is in shock right across the political divide after the sudden announcement of the very sudden death of Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaissery. Unfortunately, many Kenyans have forgotten what the country was like when Mr. Nkaissery was appointed Cabinet Secretary for Interior. Okay? If I can just remind you briefly, the country had virtually been overrun by Al-Shabaab terrorists. There was fear right across the country that another attack would happen at any time, anywhere in the country. The terrorists had actually succeeded in their objective of spreading a lot of fear and uncertainty right across the country. Within a very short time of Nkaissery taking over, things changed for the better. And you see, we're human beings. When things change, sometimes we forget where we have come from. And that is something that Kenyans have to thank Nkaissery for right across the political divide. That is something Kenyans have to be very grateful for the life of Nkaissery. Every new administration makes mistakes. And one of the initial mistakes made by Uhuru Ruto was to assume that a CS is not so important as the general administration of a government. Yeah, and that is why you saw that there were a lot in the appointments. You would find a finance expert appointed Cabinet Secretary Health, and so on and so forth. Now that may be true with some of the other dockets, but not security, as Uhuru Ruto found out very quickly. Yeah, security is impossible to man effectively if you do not understand how security works, if you do not understand the mechanisms on the ground, who does what and where, and so on and so forth, if you do not understand the basics of security. And Nkaissery not only understood the basics of security, but he knew how to get things done, and things done fast. And that's what he did for the country, to restore the country to the peace which you enjoy up to this day. Indeed, during his tenure, it's like he just chased away all the terrorists from our borders. We still have attacks, but it's like he completely found a way to permanently keep them away from the center of Kenya, from the capital, from other major towns and cities. Also, he found a way of coordinating the intelligence and security and being able to respond very quickly. Actually, a lot of Kenyans don't know this, but a lot of terrorist acts, a lot of attempted terrorist acts have been thwarted, before they happen. And of course, this never hits the news. Some of it the government keeps confidential. But Nkaissery, as far as security is concerned, that was his calling, that was his docket, and Kenyans should be very grateful. Before I deal with his very sudden and shocking and unexpected death circumstances, it's important to say now the real issue, the big problem the president will have is how to replace Nkaissery. Indeed, replacing Nkaissery will be virtually impossible. Yeah, it would seem that maybe you'd need about 3 people, and I'm not joking. You'd need about 3 people to be able to do the work of this one man, or to be able at least to have some semblance of who Nkaissery was. Yeah, and I'm not saying this because the man is dead. I'm talking about the security docket. Now, there's a saying in Africa that no African dies naturally, or is taken away by death, but all Africans are killed. Yeah, that is a saying which we have. So whenever, especially high-profile people die, people are very suspicious. Of course, a lot of times there's some foul play. Other times there's no foul play. Yeah, because everybody has his day. Okay, it is a natural. It is something which every human being has to go through. However, the death of Nkaissery is extremely mysterious, and I'm working all my contacts, working on it. I've just come out of that to do this recording. It is very mysterious because this was a keep fit fanatic. He used to jog and do exercises daily. Yeah, in fact, people used to call him the marathon champion. He was a very fit person, and this is somebody who has never been admitted to hospital in his life. Yeah, so what really happened? I do not want to speculate at this early juncture until I have something solid, and I'm working on that for you. But it is very, very shocking, and it is also mysterious and very strange. Yeah, because people get heart attacks, yes. People get sudden illnesses, yes. But that normally has a lot to do with your general fitness, the general condition your body is in. And Nkaissery was in perfect condition. Okay. Anyway, more on that as I found out, as I find it out. Yeah, I'll be able to notify you right away, especially my Club 1999 members. Now I've talked about the man in politics. I've talked about the man in security, and now I want to talk about the man in politics. Now in politics, Nkaissery never fitted in. He never fitted in because this man was a soldier right up to the end. This man was a security expert. Getting him anywhere else, putting him in politics, is like removing a fish out of water. Yeah, this clearly came out many times. He was at the time of his death, of course, the other side of the political divide was very much against Nkaissery. He made quite a lot of tough statements. Some of the statements he made were outside the law, because Nkaissery himself used to say that he stands for the law, and he always used to quote the law. But some of the things he said were really, really, really at the edge of the law. Some of the things he said and he did, because the main thing that went on in his mind was security and safety of Kenyans, and nothing else would get on into the way. Not even the diplomacy, the finesse that a politician normally uses to get their message across. Those things could never get in the way. And I believe when he was appointed the CS, he was able to completely remove the politician, rather the fake politician jacket, which had never fitted him, yeah, and be himself. Okay, but it was at odds. The opposition were really against him. Unfortunately, some of that hatred is still being spewed on social media, which is very wrong. I believe when somebody passes on, it is good to be fair in your comments. I don't think it's good to be spiteful. Yeah, it's very bad, in fact, to be spiteful. Okay, it's good to just talk the truth. This was the good of the man, and if you're like Kumekucha, you'll also say this was the bad of the man. Yeah, but making spiteful, unsubstantiated, funny comments is wrong. Anyway, that's Kenya for you. Because the man obviously had a family, he had people who loved him. Therefore, to make such comments is, you can imagine what they would feel if he made such comments. Yeah, but a fair comment analyzing the man's life is in order. Like I've talked about his weaknesses, I'm still talking about them, but I believe my comments are fair. Now, the reason why I say it never fitted into politics really was that sometimes a politician needs to be able to see opportunities, political opportunities. He or she needs to be able to see advantages of something politically, yeah, and so on and so forth. And Nkaissery never managed to see any of that. And a very interesting incident that happened shortly after the 2007-2008 clashes, I think illustrates that perfectly. One of the things that the ODM brigade planned was they organized to threaten the Mwai Kibaki government with secession, yeah, dividing Kenya, yeah, so that the ODM party and their supporters would form another country, a new republic, yeah. And what happened was that some of the bigwigs and insiders in the ODM prepared a statement, and they asked all the ODM aligned members of parliament to sign it. Nkaissery not only refused, but he stood up. I think the person who was actually fronting that was Professor Nyang'yo. Nkaissery actually stood up to him and told him, this is nonsense. We cannot have a divided Kenya. He had the courage to always say what was in his mind. He was a real soldier. Yeah. The other very sad news to do with Nkaissery is that as we speak, his wife is admitted to hospital as a result probably of the news of the death of her husband. It was a bit too much for her, and she's being treated for high blood pressure at the Nairobi hospital as we speak. Now, if you'll allow me, I'll get back to finding out how a very healthy person, keep fit fanatic, could just very suddenly just leave us. Yeah, very mysterious. So let me get back to that, following a few leads for you. This is Chris Kumekucha. Until next time.